Boom! Welcome to Monday. Everyone's favorite day. That's where all the good things happen. Are we gonna start out with an awkward silence? Seriously, guys? Are you doing this to me?
It's a good Monday.
Yeah, thank you.
Great.
Ruta, you good? You happy? You safe? Well, I guess she died. Oh, whoops! I did some things here. Let's get rid of this. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. Okay, we're back. Let's see then. What are we doing? We got cars, 2 of them. And if I plug in my gosh darn little fucking gamepad here, then I can play with the other guy. Ain't that neat? Ain't that just something? So I can shoot, and it feels good. So, we probably want to have these guys fight each other, because that's kind of the point. I'm hoping we can do at least like fighting, like we can shoot each other and so that we can race and actually like goal, because it's supposed to be fucking a racing game. I did want to talk a little bit about what your assignment is gonna be. So next week, because there's only one more week, right? I believe there's only one more week. Next week, I'm unsure if we're gonna do lectures. I think it's just gonna be more general mentoring, and I want you guys to work on your assignments and just play around to have a week, so sort of a free week to do kind of whatever. And so the assignment will be to make for G. I will of course write this up like properly on the canvas and stuff. But for G, it's just gonna be make a new power up. So make another power up in this game that you can pick up and use. I'll add some examples to Changemaker. It might be like a shield or maybe a I don't know, a different kind of weapon or something like that. Use some power up. That will be the G criteria. Then for VG, it's gonna be kind of vague, and I want it to be vague on purpose. It will be something like, I don't know how I'm gonna phrase it, but it's gonna be something like just do something. Just do something in Unreal. Because in the end, I feel like that is the that is kind of the point of this course. I think that it's like what we're doing in the lecture is just kind of a, we're just doing stuff. Like that's what I'm doing. I'm just doing stuff, like seeing where it takes us. And I'm hoping that for those who have the time, that you kind of just mess around with Unreal and try things and do stuff like whatever, doing whatever, and just trying to make games and so on. So that will kind of be the VG criteria, to either do something in this game, like maybe adding a different mechanic that isn't a power-up, I don't know, adding AI or something, I'm not quite sure, that's going to be quite tough in 1 week, or just making something completely different, making a new game from scratch and doing something. And that will be the VG criteria. So next week, you'll have plenty of time to work on that, and I'll just sort of be around, maybe having lectures on some. If I see a lot of questions about something in Unreal, I might do a lecture about it, but otherwise it's going to be mostly just me hanging around, answering questions. So that's gonna be the assignment. Thoughts?
Sounds great.
Sounds great.
Cool. Perfect.
Yeah, I think it sounds good.
Sweet.
According to the schedule, next week we have lectures Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna remove those.
After that, we have only mentoring.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that week. I don't know what's up with the only mentoring week.
I think it's because our course goes until then, because the second was the Monday after we start the next course,
Oh,
which is group project.
yeah, so maybe it does actually, maybe you actually have 2 weeks. I'll talk to Krister and get this sorted out. But if that's the case, then we'll do normal lectures next week as well. And then the week after that, we'll do working on the game. Working on your assignments. I'll talk to
That's
Krister.
amazing.
But, but yeah, it's gonna be something like that. Alright, so cool. Let's make it so we can shoot each other. So, when we did the Poopa Shell, we kinda cheated a little bit, or we kinda rushed it a little bit, to make it look okay. So we kind of did, first of all, we did ignore collisions with players, so you can't hit players, and so on. So we kinda made it a little bit weird. But let's make it not weird. No, I control the light. So, first of all, gonna head over into the Koopa Shell, sorry. Of course, we're not making Koopa Shells here. No copyright infringements here. And I'm actually thinking about making this a box collision rather than a sphere collision, but I will keep it as a sphere collision. So first of all, let's ramp up the sphere radius again, and let's just fix the bugs rather than just working around the bugs. Don't be controlled by bugs. Don't let them control you. So that's gonna be the first order of business, making it actually work. Because right now we kind of get stuck. You see that? Yeah. So the first order of business is make the Poopa Shell work, even even when its sphere collision is quite big. Because in the end, when we're gonna hit each other, we don't want like to be like, oh, we kind of missed a little bit, so the Poopa Shell went right through the other player. We wanna, if we hit the player, it should be hit. So it should be accurate hitboxes there. Turn off. Stupid Xbox controller. There we go. So the problem is that when we spawn the Poopa Shell, pew. Okay, thanks, Steam. When we spawn the Poopa Shell, it's being spawned in the ground. So if I eject, whoa, it's trying its gosh darndest. If I stay still. If I show collision, we can see that the sphere collision is kind of slightly. I'll just pause the game. You can see that the sphere collision is kind of slightly intersecting the ground there. So that's the reason it can't move, because the sphere is just intersecting, it's penetrating the ground. So we have to make sure that this stays like that, and then it can go. And of course that's deep penetration. We've done that. That's not hard. It's easy. Let's just do it. So I'm gonna head over into Poopa Shell. So the Poopa Shell is quite small. all we do is just add active wall offset with some delta time. And we do get the hit out of it with sweep. So I'm just gonna check here. If we have a blocking hit, then either we bounce, or if we're penetrating, then you try to depenetrate out of it. There we go. So if the shell happens to spawn inside the ground, which now is always, then it will just try to depenetrate out of the ground before before moving on. So let's try that. So now if I shoot it, well, okay, that didn't seem to work. Okay, now if I shoot it,
It might be triggering between the car and the ground. Because you spawn it in the middle of the car.
Let's debug. I'm gonna go into Visual Studio and I'm just gonna break here and let's see what happens. Boom. Okay. So we are. Seriously, I can't inspect anything. Well, that doesn't look good. Okay, I'm just I'm just gonna run debug. I'm gonna pop it into debug game editor here. So debug game editor will give us some more debug information, so it doesn't optimize the code as much. So then we can actually inspect the variables and everything properly. Hello?
Hello.
Visual Studio, are you okay? Build. Oh, there we go. Wait, detect the compiler newer than Visual Studio 2019. Okay. Don't know what that means.
It's trying its best. Okay.
Yeah, it's doing its fucking darndest. Okay, so now let's see. So I'm gonna shoot. Okay. Okay, there we go. So we got it stuck. So let's see. Boom! It's so slow. Okay. So let's see then. We are start penetrating. What are we penetrating? Floor. Okay, so we're still penetrating the floor. Our penetration depth is like 3.8 times 10 to the minus 6. So that's quite a small penetration. So what I'm thinking happens here is that we're actually not fully depenetrating from the floor. We're just slightly still inside of it. And that's not good. So what I'm gonna do is that whenever we're penetrating, whenever we're depenetrating, I'm just going to add a little bit to it. I'm just gonna do like plus 0.01. Just to make sure that we're like fully depenetrating whenever we're inside of something. They don't call me the pull-out king for nothing. Was that inappropriate? That's on YouTube. Oh shit. Okay, so boom. And there it goes. Still a little bit janky when it's shooting for some reason. It shouldn't be hitting the car, so I'm a bit confused there. And then it goes.
And did you remove the collision from for the car from the pooper shell?
I did, I think. Let's just double check. Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is. I know. If we look at the car, skibidi boo. If we look at this one, I forgot to turn off collision. So it was colliding with the little roof thingy there. I still had collision on that, so that's my bad. I remember thinking about that when I added the cube. I was like, I should have removed collision. It's like, oh, that's not gonna cause any problems. It's fine. So now if I shoot, yeah, there we go. So now it goes smoothly, even with a big hitbox. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that just lovely? Okay. But of course, we want to have collisions with the cars. Oh god, I have some eye poop. Hold on. Get out of here. Okay. Of course, we do want to have collisions with the car, because we want to shoot each other. So what the fuck? So let's add it back in and make it work. So I'm gonna go into the pooper shell, and I am going to go into the collision. Remember here we did like custom ass collision, and we removed race car here. Was it race car to ignore? That's bad. So let's just add it back to blocking, so that now the pooper shell should collide with cars, and then we can actually do add the actual hitting other cars nonsense. But of course then this is gonna happen, where we shoot and yeah, then this whole thing happens. Not good. So we spawn the pooper shell inside of us, like a weird freaky baby, and then we kind of go up in the air like this. Why is that happening? Can someone explain to me why are we going up in the air when shooting the pooper shell?
The car tries to depenetrate.
Yes, exactly. Very good. Because of course, as soon as we spawn the pooper shell in the player, then we'll be penetrating with it because it's inside of us. So then we try to depenetrate above the pooper shell. So that's why that happens. I feel like it's like whenever I have when I have a child, I'm gonna be like in the hospital and my beautiful wife is pushing the child out, and I'll be like, it's depenetrating. Oh Oh god. That's fucked up. Alright, so we want to not have this happen, right? So what we're gonna do honestly, I feel like there's a few different ways we could do this. I'm honestly a bit unsure which one is the best one, but one way would be to have the shell ignore, so when the shell is sort of going, to have the shell ignore the main player. Here in the sweep... Oh, never mind. I can't do sweep settings? Oh, crap. Okay, never mind, we're not doing this. Okay, well, you have to do a little bit more work, but you could make it ignore the player that shot the shell. Of course, that wouldn't actually solve this problem, because it will still spawn inside the player. And so that wouldn't solve this problem. But at least then we'll fix so that the shell won't both bounce off the main player, will just go through us. So that's a pretty bad fix, because it won't actually fix what we're trying to do here. A second fix would be perhaps to turn off collision, like start with the pupa shell not having collision for just a little bit, and then turn it on after, say, 0.1 seconds or something, after it's been traveling for a little while. That could be one solution, to sort of turn off collision and then after a little bit just turn it on. The simplest solution is probably to just spawn the pupa shell a bit in front of the player. So not spawn the pupa shell right inside of us, and instead spawn it just a little bit in front of us, so it doesn't actually start with us penetrating it.
Emil, can I ask something?
Yes.
We do have, like, remember like every object had an owner, right?
An honor.
Owner.
Oh yeah.
Can't we use that to, like, make it ignore its owner or something?
Yeah. So that's that was kind of the first solution, right? To have it, when it's sweeping, have it ignore something. Unfortunately, there is no way to make, as far as I know, I might be wrong here, but as far as I know, there's no way to make just the collision system ignore collisions between two actors. The collision system is kind of doing its own thing, and that's the reason why the car is sort of penetrating with the pupa shell. Is that their matrix is doing what the matrix does, and that is to check if two things are colliding. And as far as I know, there's no way there to just disable collisions between just two things. Even if we remove the penetration, right? If we say, like, in the car movement, like, even if we do here, like, if hit actor get owner equals this, then don't penetrate. Like, if we do something like that, we'll still have the problem that even though we aren't depenetrating, so they're not flying into the air, we won't be able to move still. So we'll still have that problem. Because once something is penetrating, there's no way to sweep. It's just gonna stay where it is, unless we depenetrate. So unfortunately, as far as I know, at least, there's no way to sort of do that nicely. But you can do ignore actors on the actual sweep. So when it's sweeping, we can say, like, hey, ignore these actors. Like, don't treat these actors like you are supposed to hit them. Just go right through them. You can do that, but that won't solve the car depenetration problem, unfortunately. Does that make sense? I'll take your silence as a resounding yes.
I think it makes sense. But the easiest would probably be to just spawn it slightly in front of the car.
Yeah, that's probably the sane and simple option. So let's just do that. So, whoa. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hop into our... So the thing that's spawning the Pupa Shell is of course the Pupa Shell power-up. So here it is, raise Pupa Shell power-up. So I'm just gonna head in here. So here we have a spawn transform. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna offset the location of that. So I'm just gonna do spawn transform. It was some weird, it was like ads. It's like add translations. Oh here, add to translation, there we go. I don't know why they made a position private, it's so dumb. Add to translation. So we have to call this stupid function and we're gonna do get owner get actor forward vector times, I have no earthly idea, 400 maybe. So I'm just gonna offset the spawn transform a little bit forward in the actor's forward vector. What could fucking possibly go wrong? Oh yeah, we were gonna do the camera. Fuck, that's what we were doing. Ah, why am I doing this? This sucks. Okay, after this we do the camera. I know you guys were during the weekend, you were like, oh, this weekend sucks, but on Monday we'll do cameras and everything will be better. So I'm sorry guys, but we will do the camera, don't worry about it.
Good, because I was crying.
Because I'm crying. Okay, so 400 was clearly way too much. Like you can see it kind of spawns like fucking eons and eons ahead of us. So clearly that wasn't the best offsets. So what I'm gonna do is instead of just typing this in code and just like tweaking it and recompiling all the time, I'm just gonna make a U property. Edits. I'll make it edit defaults only. Category is Pupa. I'll just do spawn offset. So it's 200. Now you just replace this hard-coded 400 with spawn offset. There we go. Let's just split this so you can see both. So he's made a U property for the power up. Put that in here.
What do we do if the spawn offset is inside a wall?
You cry.
Yeah.
Daniel. No wait, you're David. Sorry. I guessed wrong. No, I will yeah, that's kind of the downside, honestly, with this method. The downside with this method is, of course, if you're close to a wall in front of you, then bad things happen. So you might depenetrate out of it and then penetrate, go back into the car, and we have the same issue again. So yeah, it's not the perfect solution, but I will call it a solid good enough. So now we can shoot it. It looks a little bit better, but I can probably snuggle it in a little bit more. So I'm going to... Now that we made it a U property, I can just hop into this BP Pupa Shell power-up. Pupa Shell, sorry. Since we made a blueprint version of this already, I can just hop into this blueprint class And now we have this spawn offset here, so I can just tweak this. So we'll say 120, maybe? Very scientific. Let's see. Alright, 120 seems to work fine. So we'll say that. Oh god, that was cool. It was like Pong. So, that's cool. So now we can shoot it and it works. Let's just try what David said. Like, what happens if I sit close to the wall here? Boom. Yeah, so it kind of depenetrates back into us. Well, it kind of works. Luckily, it kind of depenetrates out of the wall, so it won't get stuck in the wall, since we added the penetration stuff. But it might be, you know, some level of jank coming out of it. But at least it works, and I'll call that solid. Good enough. I mean, how often are you gonna do that? How often are you gonna be like, oh, shoot the pooper shell now? It's like, that's not the situation you want to be in. So, I'm gonna say, unless QA reports it, then I'll just leave it in. So, cool.
I mean, ain't you supposed to be able to hit yourself if you're dumb?
Yes.
So then
So
that's probably not the problem.
Yeah, I guess actually, you know what? I think you're right. Actually, if I do this and I just immediately die, I think that's actually fine. QA might not even report on it. That's great. So let's kill the players then with the pooper shell, and then we'll move on. So I'll say, you look mighty handsome. So I'll say in tick. I'm gonna check if we're blocking something, so we're sweeping, and if that results in a blocking hit, I'm gonna check if the hit actor is a race car. So is a we'll just check if whatever this actor is, if it is a race car, or if it either is a race car or derives from a race car. So it has a race car as a parent somewhere. Then we're just gonna destroy it. So we're gonna do hit actor, destroy, and destroy ourselves, and then I'm gonna return. So if we hit a car, then we just destroy it. Easy. Easy peasy.
Don't we gotta include the car?
Oh, you're so smart. FG. What the fuck did I call it? Racing game. FG racing game. Racing game player race car.h. You get such a big brain in there. It's too bad you use it for evil. So let's see now. So now when we hit the player, they should die. You'll die. So if I shoot the wall and hit myself, then I'm dead. Tough luck. If I play the other player, he saw what the other player did, and he's like, I don't want to live anymore. No. So he's dead. And of course, if I shoot the other player, then so long, sucker. Bye. Very extreme punishment to get hit by a projectile that's this fast. But you know what? I'm not a game designer. It's fine. I won't get the blame. So okay, so now we have some proper fun. Did you see that shot? That's fucking sick. Yeah, so now we have some proper pooper shells working, and they're super fun. I'm having so much fun right now. So that's great. So let's make the camera then. Boom. Let's make a big old camera.
Can you show the code again?
Yeah. Which code? This code?
Yes.
I don't know, can I?
Why do you have destroy twice in the hit dot actor destroy and then destroy?
Because we want to destroy the player, but we also want to destroy ourselves.
Oh, okay.
We don't want to keep going after we hit the player.
Yeah.
All right. Fun. Good times. We're having fun here. So let's make a camera then. But let's take a break first. And I know you guys can't leave until I say see you in 10 minutes. So I can just hold you here in limbo. He just left? Rude!
Bye.
Oh my god, okay, fucking deceitful children. Okay, I'll see you guys back in 10 minutes. So let's get back 11:00 for you good kids out there.
Are we going to use one of those arms to make the camera so it's like follows the car, like we did in the previous project?
We might do a spring arm, yeah?
Yeah.
Maybe. Oh god.
Emil?
Yeah,
Oh, sorry if I disturbed you.
it's okay.
If we want to access a variable in the actor instead of destroying it, do we have to cast it to the specified class that we're checking?
Yeah, you would have to cast it to a race car in that case.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. Hello. Tove, since you left so early, do you want to tell the class what you did that was so fucking important that you had to leave before I officially
my
called
coffee cup?
Fika? Sorry?
Refilled my coffee cup.
Okay, that is quite important actually. That's a
Thank
good
you.
that's a good cause. Man, I want some more coffee right now actually. Fuck.
Go get some.
No. So, yeah, cool beans. What about it? So let's make a camera that actually works. And let's make something like, you know, a Smash Bros camera, where it will sort of try to keep every car in view. That sounds pretty neat. Let's do that then. So to do that, so I'll hop into the camera. There it is, race camera. So to do this, we need to know about all the players. Right, to get the average of all the players' locations, we need to have all the players. Of course, we can't do it like we did before with the camera, where we kind of set. Like here in the follow camera, we had like an actor reference, and it will sort of follow that actor. We can't do that anymore because the players don't exist yet. You know, they get spawned later at some point. So not great, not fantastic. Not super duper. So we're gonna have to fetch all the players at some later point. So not now, it's at some later point. Now we could do something like, you know, in begin play, we could do what is that called? Well, let's not call it as it's simply, but we can do. Okay, it looks like I can show it. It looks like this. Right, so we can do this. This is an actor iterator, and it takes sort of which type of actor we want to iterate over. And then when we create the iterator, we supply which world is gonna be, you know, which world is gonna get all the actors from. So if you do in blueprints, you might see something like get all actors of class. Then you supply a class. Yeah, AR actor, sure. And this is kind of what's going on. So this is the same thing, where we get some array of actors out of this. It's similar to doing this, where we sort of iterate over every actor of this type. We could do this. The problem with this is that, of course, in begin play, we're not actually sure if all the players even exist yet, because if we go to the start line, in its begin play, that's where we actually spawn all the players. So then we'll kind of depend on which begin play runs first. Is it the camera's begin play or the start line's begin play? And it's kind of arbitrary which one will run first. It's not something that we can control easily. So maybe this is out. So maybe we have to do this in tick instead. It's like in tick we will iterate over all race cars and kind of get the average position or something. We could do that. However, the actor iterator is not the fastest in the world. Let's just say that. It's not terribly slow either, but it's not. It will take a little bit of a time. It'll take a little bit of time to iterate over the race car, especially as the level gets more complex and more actors get added and so on. So it's not the most graceful solution, but we could do that. Instead, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna introduce something called the game instance. The game instance. So the game instance is something that lives forever. As soon as we start the game, start game, then the game instance will be created. And then, you know, then after that, like, they will spawn the world, spawn world, and do all of that kind of shenanigans after that. But the game instant lives forever, as long as the game is running, that is. And then as soon as the game quits, then it destroys the game instance, you know. But it's a place where we put all data that is relevant throughout the game. So, you know, if you're making like a, if you're making like a I don't know, an RPG or something, and you want to keep track of the player's inventory, for example, maybe that would live in the game instance. Or if you're making like a, yeah, anything that's just supposed to be living throughout the game. And, you know, you could switch levels, you can go between game modes perhaps, you still want it to stay there, then you put it in the game instance. It's a very important object, and it's used a lot. Very, very handy. So we're gonna make a game instance. So I'm gonna add a new file. There it is. Source.
So there's something you could like save and load data to. Or is that something?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yes, the game instance something you would like save and load data into.
Yeah.
Like for games.
That's totally a thing you could do, yeah. It could do a lot of things. Like it's kind of just a global, like anything that's supposed to be global kind of comes out of the game instance. You might create stuff like managers, perhaps. Like if you want to have like some sort of AI manager or, you know, whatever, what have you, some global system that's supposed to live forever. Then you would have like the game instance kind of spawn those or initialize those systems, and then they sort of live on. So anything that's supposed to be global or living forever, then that would like sort of come out of the game instance or be in the game instance. It doesn't actually do anything particularly like, oh, it's supposed to do exactly this. It's just kind of like, oh, anything you want to do that's global, you can do it in the game instance. Oh, I have a game folder. What's in here? Oh, okay, nice. I'll put it in here then. Our folder structure is not perfect, I'll say that. So in the game folder, I'm gonna make a race game instance. Race game instance. In the game folder. And then I just regenerate project files. Okay. So now it should be in here. Yeah, it is. So, program 1. So we want to include new game instance. Here it is. New game instance. So that lives in engine/game instance.h. Okay, so include that. Include engine/game instance.h. Include the generated one. I will say this, by the way, just so you're not confused if it happens. It's fine if you forget, then I can tell you again sometime later. This generated header only include this if you're making a U class or a U struct or a U enum or something like that. This file won't be generated if there's not a U class or U struct or U enum in your file. So if you're getting errors that, oh, this doesn't exist, like actual errors, not IntelliSense errors, that might be because you're trying to include in a file that doesn't have any U classes in it or U structs. So keep that in mind. It's fine. If it happens, then just ask and I can help you. But I just thought I'd mention it. Cool. So now we have our own game instance here. So if you go look at it, it has a bunch of functions. It doesn't have anything like begin play, or I don't think it even has tick. You can see it does actually handle a bunch of different stuff. Here's like get num local players and get local players and blah blah blah. Subsystem, which I've never used. I don't know what subsystem is, but it's probably important. It's like play replay, which is like kind of weird, but all right. Get online session. Yeah, it has a bunch of shit in it that's it's not super used. I'm just gonna override something just so we can kind of see what's going on. I'm gonna override init. So that's kind of like the begin play of game instance. I don't think it actually does anything in the... Oops. Oh, it does. Okay, it does do a bunch of shit. Okay. Let's just not... let's just call super then. But yeah, so I'm gonna override this init function. So let's do it. Raise game instance. So void init override. All right. So here I'm just gonna log. Just gonna log like UE log temp log U raise game instance init called woohoo. That's just gonna be it. Just so we can debug if it actually is working or not. Right. So let's run. Do you guys ever feel like you just want to quit society and just move out to like a farm somewhere, like raise cows?
Mood.
Rude.
No, I said mood.
Oh yeah, that is my mood. Like have chickens that like scream a lot, and I'm like, I love you chickens.
I'd say most of the time I do.
Yeah, it is quite a lovely thought. All right, so okay, so when we play the game, back to reality. If I play the game, then oh god. Sorry. I don't see any in it here. I don't see any race game instance in it. So we have to define in each project which type of game instance is going to be used. So if I head into settings, project settings. So I'm in project settings. Maps and modes. Here we can see game instance class. So that is which type of game instance will be used for this game. For this here ding dong gimme game. So that's the type of game instance that will be instantiated when we start the game and then just kept alive forever. So here we can override to use our own game instance that we made. We have platform game instance, it's quite weird. Why is there so much bloat? Like, seriously. Okay, let's just do race game instance. Just had a weird rage moment there. Okay, so I'm gonna override the game instance class to be our race game instance. Again, this is the maps and modes in project settings. So now that we start the game, it's gonna spawn a race game instance before anything else, and then that's just gonna be alive forever. So then
could we see the code? I think I missed something here because I can't start the thing. Thanks.
So now we should be able to see our race game instance init function being called. Are you finding an issue, Daniel? Denial.
Yeah, I always seem to make it not work.
That's
I
great.
don't really know why it's not working. Let me just share my screen quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's this one. I don't know what I missed here. Because I think it looks about the same. I don't know. Can you see this?
Well, it seems like the error is somewhere else. If you go to where the error is.
No.
You haven't added the is a function, so you have to have parentheses at the end.
Oh, okay. That's the problem. I'm always
No,
confused.
those should still be there. It's just you haven't added parentheses at the end.
Oh yeah, okay. That's the. Let's see. Let's see.
That's the wrong angle bracket.
Oh damn. Where did I miss the?
After the last angle bracket.
I need a parenthesis here.
Yes.
Oh. This.
That's a semicolon.
Oh right. These ones.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Cool.
Oh, okay. That was the problem. Thanks.
All right. So now, if I run the game, since I set the race game instance to be our game instance class, when I run a game, I can see. I can show you the world. Na 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 na. Here it is. Logtemp U race game instance init was called. Woohoo. And you can see that it was called quite early. So like before even the audio device is initted. And the submix, whatever the fuck that is. Yeah, the game mode gets created here and then everything else begins place. So it's quite very early, which is quite nice. And then you have in the game instance, you have quite a lot of time to actually set up whatever you need to be set up for your game to be a game. So it's quite nice. Ow. So, why did we make a game instance? What's the point? Why are we doing this to ourselves? Well, I was thinking something that's very integral to our game is the players. Is the cars. Which cars are in the game? And I thought that the game instance might be a very convenient place to store all the cars that are currently in the game. I thought that could be cool. So let's do that then. So in the race game instance, I'm gonna make a TR8, I'm gonna make a race car. I'm gonna do cars. So I'm gonna forward declare a race car. And then I'll just make this a U property just to be safe. Just in case one of the cars dies, which tends to happen in our game. It's quite easy to die. So I'm just gonna make this a U property in case one of the cars die. So then the pointer will be a weak pointer since it's a U property, which means that they will be set to null in case a car dies. Do a little dab for young kids out there. So, how do we fetch this then? I'm just gonna make sure to call super in it here. Actually, I'm a bit scared. Whoops. By the way, I will say super is a... I don't know if I said this. I think I did, but I'll say it again. Super is an Unreal thing. This will not work in just base C++. In base C++, you have to write something like uGame instance in it. Yeah, like you have to provide the actual name of the parent class you want to call the function on. It's just that Unreal very helpfully defines super for us when we're making U classes like this, so that we can easily call the super version of whatever function we're overriding. Super in this case being the parent version of the init function. So now we have a cars array. How nice. And this is very common, I would say. I mean, at least at Hazelight. I mean, obviously I can't speak for every company ever. Maybe Sahil will say like Emil is an idiot, never do this. I don't know. We tend to disagree on things. But this is the way we do it at Hazelight at least. That stuff like the players and other global things that are very convenient to be able to find, we usually put that in the game instance. So that every system in the game that needs to fetch the players somehow, like maybe to just do a distance check or do some other crazy things, they can just fetch the players easily from the game instance. It's quite nice. So how do we set this then? How do I add the cars in here? How does that work? Because again, we have the same problem, right? I can't fetch them all in init. I can't do like the get all actors of class or whatever. Like, can't do it here. Because as I said before, init runs quite late. Like everything else gets added, sorry, not late. It gets called quite early. Sorry, my bad. It gets called quite early, before all the begin plays happen. Before the start line ever has a chance to spawn the players and everything like that. So again, we have the same problem where we can't get all actors of class. Boo-hoo. So what we have to do is that in the start line, when we actually do spawn the players, I kind of want to add them to this list here. So how does I do? Well, we kind of have to fetch the game instance somehow, and that's quite easy. We used to get world, get game instance. Easy. Is this templated? It is! So we can actually do this. There we go. We can provide a template. So we can tell the get game instance version, the get game instance function saying like, hey, get the game instance and cast it to this type. Otherwise, if we don't do this, then we have to like kind of get the game instance like as the base function, or as the base class, and then just manually cast this to raise game instance. Like something like this. We have to manually cast it. But the templated version of get game instance will actually do the cast for us. So that's quite nice. Have we talked about casting? We have talked about casting, right?
I think a little bit at least.
Yeah, a little bit.
We did it on a few occasions.
Oh, okay, that's good. I was like, is this the first time we've done casting? I forget. But yeah, so Unreal Start Cast, whatever. So that's how we fetch the game instance. I'm actually gonna do auto here. Whatever I have something like this, like get game instance, or get or cast or something, like where I can clearly see the type name. I like to do auto then. Let's not do auto. I just realized that's a can of worms that I'm just not interested in opening. So we're gonna have to include that. So I'll include FG racing game race game instance. There we go. So now we've fetched the game instance. How nice. So now I can add our car to the cars array. Cool. See if I run. Then nothing happens. Because of course we haven't actually done anything with the car array. Like we've added them, but of course we're not using it in any way. But at least now I have a very convenient and easy and fast way to get all the cars that are currently in the game.
Can we see it somewhere in the editor?
Not that I know. There might be a way to inspect the U properties of the game instance, but not that I know. Not easily.
Sad.
So they're very sad. So yeah, so let's go into race camera then. So instead of having some follow actor, boring, I'm gonna remove that view property, because we were not gonna use that anymore. I'll split this up actually. I'll remove the null check because we don't have the follow actor anymore. And instead of getting the location from the follow actor, instead we're gonna have to calculate some target location. And we're just gonna do an average to begin with. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do okay, so we're gonna do num cars, and then I'll do location sum. I'll set that to 0 just to be sure. And then we're gonna loop through all of the cars. So we'll do for a race car in, oh yeah, we have to fetch the game instance, right? So we'll do u race game instance. Game instance is equal to get world, get game instance. There we go. So we'll do for a race car in game instance cars. We'll do use the for loop over that, for each loop. So for each car, we're gonna add it to the location sum. So location sum plus equals car get actor location and num cars plus plus. So we're just gonna get the sum of all of their location so that later on we can get the average. And then just target location is gonna be the average. We'll do location sum divided by num cars. Very simple average. So then I can replace this follow actor get actor location with this then do target location. So there we go. How easy.
What is the location sum? What's that?
Use the vector. This is a sum. It's just gonna be a sum of all of the cars' locations. Because of course the way you do an average, like if you want to have the average between A, B, C, and D, like 4 values. To get the average between these, you do A plus B plus C plus D divided by how many values there are, divided by 4. So that's going to be the average. And that's what we're doing here. Where A, B, C, and D will be the locations of each car. And then the 4 will be how many cars there are. Of course, I think we're gonna have to do some including here. Yep. So we have a bunch of errors here. You raise game instance undeclared identifier, blah blah blah. It's a little bit hard to, like, you can get a bit scared by these error messages because there's so many. The important one is this one. Like, you raise game instance undeclared identifier. That's a very big hint to what's going wrong here. That you raise game instance, it doesn't know what that is. And of course that means we have to include it. So we'll include FG racing game / race game instance. And it doesn't know what car is, so we have to include that as well. So we'll include FG racing game player race car. There we go. Ta-da! So now the car will sort of follow kind of the average of all of the car's locations. Ain't that just something?
Can we look at the code again?
Look at the code, baby, look at the code, baby, look at the code, baby, look at the code.
What did you need to include to get game instance to work? Because mine is getting like a red squiggly thing.
Well, if you're
In the for loop.
In the for loop.
Yeah, in the for loop.
Well, if your raise game instance is red, that probably means you need to include raise game instance.
Yeah, I thought it was a race game instance, but
It
maybe
is.
that's not correct.
You have to include that then.
I did include it, but I still get the red thing.
What's the errors?
It says, let's see,
The build
cannot
error.
resolve simple game instance. Well, let's see what happens if I try to build it. Undeclared identifier, probably spelled it wrong. Where the heck is the error? Game instance. Cars.
Share your screen.
Yeah, maybe it's faster that way. I think I see the problem. I don't think I have defined what game instance is here, so...
No, you haven't gotten the game instance. You need to fetch the game instance first.
Yeah, but I thought I did it up here.
No, but you
Racing
actually have to
game.
get the... That's not a global variable. You have to actually fetch the game instance somehow.
Oh, okay. Let's see. So if I do Something like this, right?
I'll share my screen again.
Something like this.
Here, this line here.
Almost.
So right, ballpark. Do you guys have AI course before the game project?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I see. Man, I really hope I can be the mentor for the game project. That was so fun. I'm gonna bully Christer until he gives it to me.
I told Andrew that you're our favorite teacher ever in the whole world, and that we want you as a mentor.
Big love to you guys. You're my favorite class too. There you go, except for FG20.
I was literally just opening Discord to write that to GB20 before you said this.
Yeah, I had to be quick. I don't want to get your hopes up.
I mean, we can still edit that part out.
Yeah, we'll remove it in post.
So what do we need to do to usurp FG20 from the throne?
I think you need to kill them. Actually, I think you need to make them go away, and then.
Oh man, that's easy.
Yeah, exactly. This is not. I don't know why you guys haven't done it yet. That's just what I'm so confused by. Like, I've given you all the hints, like kill them, but you guys are just not picking it up. All right. So we have the thing. The thing. So the camera works. I was thinking before we go on lunch and have just a rad tad time eating lunch. I was thinking something that's very usual. Because the game instance won't only be used in code, like it will be used in blueprints as well, a lot. Like the game instance is a very popular object to fetch. In Blueprint you have to do something like get game instance, and then you have to like cast that, like cast to raise the game raise game instance. Like they don't have the templated function, right? So they have to do something like this. So I was thinking, why not make a helper function for getting the raise game instance? Then we can make that in Blueprint as well, so that they can get it very easily. So I was thinking, let's make that, and then we'll go on lunch. So I'll make in public here, I'll make a static function. So I'll do a static raise game instance.
Wait, just quickly asking, are we recording?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, we are. Like, what would if I said no? It would have been like, okay, we'll catch the last 10 minutes before lunch. So at least that's up. So let's make a get function here. Here we go. So when we have the get function, it's quite nice. Since it's static, we can just write something like raise game instance : get. It's quite neat. And then we just get the game instance. So let's do that then. Get world. Oh no. Well, it should be red. It's not red, but it should be red. This is the problem with static functions. Is that we have no way of knowing which world they're called in. Because remember, in, for example, the race start line, when we got the game instance, we have to do like get world and then get game instance.
So how do we define that we know that we are getting the world that we are in?
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? Static functions have no idea of knowing which world they're in. Like, that doesn't exist for static functions. So the thing you have to do, and this is the thing I've seen you guys asking about a lot, is that you have to pass in some sort of world context object. You have to do something like object world context. And this world context, its only purpose is to just have something that exists in a world, so that we can fetch the world off of that. We can sort of piggyback off the world context to figure out where we are, which world we're currently in. So I'm just going to add a world context object here. So this will be our only input. So now we can do uWorld world is equal to world context get world. And then just return world get game instance. Race game instance. There we go. So that's the purpose of world context. When you're by
Why did we do all of this again? Like, what was the reason we did all of this?
Because it's nice. I mean, there wasn't really any particular reason. Like, writing get world get game instance wasn't actually that hard. So for coders, sure, this is kind of a useless function. Or I mean, I guess like writing this compared to this. I guess writing this compared to this is like slightly easier. I mean, come on, it's just a few characters, so it doesn't really matter. But a huge thing about making this a get function for this game instance is that we can make it a u function. Which means that this function can actually be called from Blueprint, which is quite nice. And that means that Blueprint fools who dare go into the Blueprint land don't have to do this every time they want to get the race game instance. They'll just be able to call one function that just gets the game instance as a race game instance. They don't have to do this casting every time. I will say this is a very common function to do. In every project I've ever worked in, we always have some sort of like get our game instance, like not just the game instance, give us our game instance as our class. Because it's such a commonly used object that it's very nice to just have a Blueprint getter function. Of course, to make this callable from Blueprint, we have to do Blueprint callable. So just do that. Let's remove this test code that I did. So let's see what happens. Okay. So nothing should have changed for code because we haven't actually replaced. Like we haven't actually replaced any of. We haven't actually replaced any of these, like this get world gate game instance. We actually aren't calling this function yet, But let's just make sure it works in blueprints. So I'm just gonna open up any old blueprint. And the nice thing about these U functions is if they're static, if they're marked as static, that means they can be called from anywhere in blueprints. U functions that are static. So you'll see like all of the normal functions, like if you do like, oh god, it's a good example. Add actor to layer, yeah, that sounds good. So if I double click this, it'll actually take me to where that function is defined. It doesn't work. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so we'll do add actor to layer. Here. That's the wrong one. Oh god. Oof. It's getting warm in here. Okay, here we go. So so here you can see you have a bunch of these like layers blueprint library. Like you'll find a bunch of these libraries everywhere. Like there's Kismet game, there's like gameplay library. Actually, let's just go there. Why did I fucking look it on it? Let's just see gameplay library. Gameplay statics, sorry. The naming convention is not properly defined. Sometimes it's called statics, sometimes it's called library. Because this is just a class, and all it contains is just a bunch of static functions. Like a get play character, set player control ID, blah blah blah. It just has a bunch of global functions that are usable in blueprints. So you'll find a bunch of these blueprint libraries everywhere. Or blueprint statics, or whatever. So this is very common to do. Like just make a U class, and all it does is just have a bunch of static functions in it. So like in Haze Light, we would have like U Haze camera statics, and U Haze player statics, and U Haze game statics, and U Haze math statics, and we have a bunch of these statics classes. All they do is just provide functions for blueprint. So as soon as you make it static, then that's just callable from anywhere. Quite nice. So we should find some get function now. So let's get. Well, there's a bunch of them. So let's find ours. Oh dear. Well, I don't know if I'm gonna find in here. Let's just search like instance get. Yeah, there it is. Here. Target is raise game instance, and we have a function called get. So not very descriptive, I will say. It has exec pins, which is kind of boring because you know if I use the get game instance here, it doesn't have any exec pins. It just has an output. So how do I make it like this? Because this looks nice. Here I have to like plug it into like begin play or something to get it. It's kind of boring. I just want to be able to get it like this. And it's also called get, which is not a great name. Like it works well in C++. Like in C++, it makes sense that it's called get because you type like u raise game instance : get. But that's not a great function name for blueprints. So let's do the easy one first. How do we convert this from this blue node with exec pins to this nice green node that purely has the output value? And these functions that don't have exec pins, they only have outputs. They're called pure functions. Pure function. So a pure function means it doesn't matter when it's evaluated. So like with exec pins, right, their point is to be able to control like when stuff runs. So now it's like, okay, get will run before add actor to layer, for example. That's the point of exec pins. But with pure pins, then it's just kind of, I don't care when this is run or how many times it's run. You just run it whenever you need to. So in this case, begin play would run. we'll go to get, so get runs, and what will happen then is that it evaluates all of its input pins, and that's when get game instance actually will be called, whenever this pin gets evaluated in the get call. Doesn't strictly matter. In the end, a pure function just means I don't care how many times it's called or when it's called. It's a simple function. It just has an output value. I don't care. Well, if you do care when it's called, like if you're doing like ray tracing, for example, like shooting at a bunch of rays, then it might matter exactly when and how often those are called, because it's quite expensive. So for example, get all actors of class, for example. Here you can see that this has exec pins. Even though this probably could be a pure function, it does have exec pins just because it's quite an expensive function. Like it even says, this is a slow operation, use with caution. So that's why it has exec pins, so you can control like, oh, only call this one time, and then I'll use the out actors. It can control more closely when it's called. But if it's something like just get a variable, then using a pure function is very warranted. So
It's a pure function and a lambda the same thing.
no, they're completely different things.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna write blueprint pure instead of blueprint callable. Going into some random blueprint here. So now I should be able to get this function. Yes, there it is. And now we can see it's a pure function. It doesn't have any exec pins.
What did you call it? Did you write blueprint callable pure?
No, I use blueprint pure in the U function instead of blueprint callable. So blueprint callable will mean it has exec pins, and blueprint pure will mean it doesn't have exec pins.
The red ones in the blueprint system, those were events, right? Like the begin play, for example.
Yeah, exactly. These are events.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Can we see the race camera.cpp again?
Yep. Race camera is there. I have too many files open.
Maybe also change the method name.
Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. But we've unfortunately run out of time, so let's do it after lunch. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. All right. Let's take lunch. So I'll see you scoundrels back 1300. So have a good lunch. Bye bye.
Yep.
You too.